There's a myth in the dieting industry that you have to give up all your favorite foods in order to lose weight. In this video, I'm going to break that belief and teach you about moderation. So you want to lose weight, but you don't want to give up delicious food. I get it. Nobody wants to eat hard food. That just leaves you feeling restricted and deprived. When you restrict food, you end up yo-yoing back and forth on the deprivation and indulgence scale. On the one hand, you might restrict calories or eliminate certain foods, and you'll end up feeling anxious and deprived, and this feeling builds throughout the week as you try and stay consistent. Then you might swing to the other extreme, where you crash into the weekend, binge on an entire pizza, eat a pint of ice cream, have a liter of soda. You'll feel guilty and frustrated because you couldn't stay consistent, gross and disgusted with yourself because you overdid it. I promise you're not alone in this. I've been there. And there is a better way. When I learned to eat in moderation, and this is what I teach all my clients to do, I learned to eat in such a way so that I never felt restricted or deprived. I was able to have my favorite foods in moderation and still stay on track with my weight loss goals, navigating the middle of the deprivation and indulgence scale. When I went through my transformation, it was pretty tough to figure it out on my own. I had to conquer my sugar addiction. I had to curb my pasta cravings. It was especially hard because I was stuck in the old way of believing that I had to restrict these foods completely. With moderation, I'm able to tune into my body. I'm able to understand my hunger and my cravings and pay attention to my energy and my stress and monitor my emotions. And then I can stay out of brain shutdown mode and eating in autopilot or overeating and stress eating. I'm able to stay mindful and in the middle between starving and stuffed. With moderation, I'm able to honor my cravings. I eat dessert every night. I eat pasta occasionally in a way that doesn't spike my blood sugar and keeps my energy high. One of the tools that I teach all my clients is called awareness checks. And it teaches you to pay attention to your body and mind and to tune into those signals of what's happening in your body. You learn to pay attention to your hunger and cravings, your stress and your energy, and your emotions, so that you can stay out of brain shutdown mode and autopilot eating or mindless eating and navigate that middle between stuffed and starving. Another tool that I teach is satisfaction factor. That helps take the edge off so that you can increase the satisfaction of a meal so that you never feel deprived. You honor your craving. And that might mean having a preemptive cheat so that you can have something now so that you'll take the edge off so that you won't be more likely to binge later. It's a practice of paying attention to your body, honoring your cravings, and meeting any unmet needs that might come up. You learn to begin to trust yourself around foods that previously sent you over the edge. The goal is always to have low hunger, managed cravings, stable energy, and to keep you mindful throughout your day. So you're going to be paying attention to lifestyle factors that are affecting your stress and your energy and your emotions. It's not just about hunger and cravings. Some of those lifestyle factors are making sure that you're getting daily movement. Movement helps re-energize you. And I'm not talking about like obsessive cardio here, but a little bit of cardio and some weightlifting. Weightlifting is going to be one of the biggest things that's going to help impact how you age, whether or not you age gracefully or if injuries come up more often. So I often really recommend that if you're not weight training, start now. Another factor is going to be sleep. Are you getting enough high quality sleep? Most of the population isn't. Sleep is one of the biggest dial movers. The more sleep you have, the more energy you have, the more chance your body has to recover from some of the stress that you're putting it through. Also, setting up your environment for success and making sure that you have support from friends and family. That could look like making sure you have enough healthy food options at home, or it could look like driving the long way home from work so you don't pass the fast food joint every single time. Or even finding a healthier alternative to the fast food that you love that's going to be less indulgent but still satisfying. For me, I make sure that I have a sweet treat with every lunch and every dinner. For lunch, it's usually a piece of fruit. For dinner, it's something like Oreos or like a small little bit of ice cream that I put into a bowl. I don't eat out of the pint anymore, even though I do know how to stop myself. It's just more of a ritual and it's more satisfying if I have it out of a bowl and I feel like I'm indulging at an ice cream shop. True, moderation might seem super challenging at first because it's not a specific portion size and it's not a number and there's no real way to track it because it's a feeling. It takes practice and paying attention to your body, and sometimes your hormones might be out of whack such that you're not able to read your signals or they might be clouded or foggy. But long-term, learning to eat in moderation is the best option for long-term weight loss. that is successful so that you never have to gain it back and never have to go on another diet. When you learn to eat in moderation, you're able to eat whatever you want. You're able to stay satisfied, and you never have to worry that you're going to go off the deep end. You most likely know what it feels like to be restricted and probably have some experience going off on the deep end and overindulging on the other end. You've been in the two extremes, but navigating that middle can be really challenging because we don't know what it feels like until we've practiced, until we've tried. One thing that really helped me understand this was realizing that when you're satisfied, being satisfied isn't stressful. So if you're restricting food, it's usually stressful. It makes you anxious. You really have this like ick factor going on. And then on the other extreme, if you're overstuffed and you're overeating, you're overindulging, that is also stressful because there's that guilt in there. There's that shame. In the middle, there's no stress because you're good. You're satisfied. You've had enough and you don't need more and you're not gonna, and it's good. You're good. So when I mastered that concept and understanding what that feels like, things started to really slide into place for me. Finding that middle ground between being stuffed and being deprived is understanding what it feels like to be comfortably full. Like you could have a little more, but you don't need to. Understanding what it feels like to feel satisfied. Something I also teach is learning how to eat to 80% fullness. So that means like quitting your meal early. And as I mentioned before, increasing the satisfaction factor of your meal. Meals don't happen in isolation. So what you're going to eat now is going to affect what you eat later. What you eat later is going to affect what you eat on the weekend. So if you're paying attention to how satisfying your meal is throughout your day and throughout your week, then you're never going to get to the point where you're feeling too restricted or too deprived because you've already met that. You've already been like, okay, if I increase this and I make it taste a little bit better right now, I'm going to be less likely to overindulge or binge on something later because I just don't need it. Like I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm satisfied. And I teach my clients to pay attention via awareness checks. They're tuning into their fullness. They're tuning into their hunger and their craving and their satisfaction and trying to navigate, okay, where am I on this scale here? I also like to use something called preemptive cheats, where you eat it now, you take the edge off now so that you're not going to have something more indulgent later. And I know that this is scary work. It's scary work based on self-trust and learning to change how you feel about food, change how you feel around food, eliminate the stress associated with food, take food off pedestals, get comfortable having things in your home, being around them, navigating that environment around foods that might make you feel stressful. It can be challenging, but trust me, it's possible. With the right tools, with the right coaching, you can find a way to learn to eat in moderation so that you never have to diet again and you never have to feel restricted or deprived. And I will say, just because if you are going to go try these things, practice compassion, get clinical, look at the data, and remember to be compassionate about what happens and what you're going through, because this is a tough process. Another tool that I like to teach is called intermittent sampling. It's where you take samplings of food throughout the day or from a meal without going all in. So you're just having it to have a little bite, to be satisfied, to be like, ooh, I had a couple French fries. I don't need any more, and we're good. Obviously, this is going to be very similar to exposure therapy and taking food off pedestals, but you're basically trying to take the illicitness of these items away and get yourself more comfortable around having these foods. And this is a high-level technique, and so manage your expectations. It's not going to come easy at first, and you might feel like you overdo it, or you might gain some extra weight if you are practicing these things. So just be gentle with the process. An example of this would be if you were to have a slice of birthday cake every day. And eventually, if you have birthday cake every day, it sort of takes away the illicitness of the food item so that you are no longer feeling the need to have it. If I asked you to have birthday cake 7 days a week this week, and you did, I'm pretty sure by the end of the week, you probably wouldn't want to have any more birthday cake. Obviously, it's not going to necessarily work that simply for you because there's all kinds of other factors that are at play, stress, emotions, sleep levels, whatever. But starting the process of exposure therapy and intermittently sampling these foods helps break down that barrier of stress so that you're able to start to trust yourself around these foods. And overindulgence is not a character flaw. I still have moments where I emotionally eat. I still have moments where I end up on autopilot around food. But I know that I have the tools to recognize when it's happening and that I have strategies to pull myself out of that. I'm able to see what's happening in the moment and realize what it is that I need, and then I can meet that need, and that helps me pull myself out of that moment. And then I can strategize for how to better prepare for that in case it happens again, or when it happens again, because it will inevitably happen again. One of the things that I teach clients is to learn to tune into their drains and their triggers so that they know that maybe at certain times of the day or certain places, certain events, they're more likely to be triggered to want these foods or to crave these foods. So when you start to navigate these drains and triggers, you can pay attention and you have more awareness around what your response is going to be, so then you can plan and prepare for that. I work with clients so that they can learn to eat the same way they do on Monday as they do on Saturday. So you're not having these extremes where you're restricting yourself all week and then binging on the weekend. Everything is kind of in moderation so that you never get to that point of overdoing it or needing to overdo it because you are restricted. This might seem like something that is too daunting to do on your own, and I totally get it. So if you're curious, reach out, DM me. This is the exact thing that I help teach clients to do, and we work together to figure out the best course of action for you, for your circumstances, and get you the results that you want. Hopefully some of this was useful. Hopefully you're able to take it and use some of the tools in your own life. If you loved it, share it with a friend, leave a comment, like, subscribe. Don't forget to hop onto my newsletter so that you can be notified when I drop my awareness checks free course coming soon. And I'll catch you next time. Ciao.